Welcome to the Low Tide Boys, a Swimrun podcast. I'm Chip.
And I'm Chris, and this is episode 201 of the show. In this show, we are doing an update to our, I can't remember if it was a 201 or a 101, or it was just like a...
informative
PSA
episode.
Yeah, so this is a new PSA, and it's all about how to qualify for ÖTILLÖ, the Swimrun World Championship in 2024 and beyond. You may not know that the way you qualify has changed in this last year, so we wanted to make sure everyone had good information out there. We were getting a lot of questions from listeners being like, hey, can you explain this to us? And we're like, we can't yet, but at some point we'll be able to.
Yes, and as of time of this recording, the Swimrun World Championship is only 300 days away.
Oh my God.
So now's the time, and the application for the registration is opening very soon.
Yep.
Hence the timing of this episode here.
Yeah, and I think to start off, if this is something that you want to put on your bucket list, we can't recommend it. If I can speak for you, Chipper, we can't recommend the experience highly enough. I mean, this was the entire thing of the World Championship is just great. Really great memories for us. Got to do it twice. It's a dream come true in many ways. Epic day, epic weekend.
Yes.
Epic trip. So if you're thinking of putting this on your list, pay attention, because there's definitely ways to get there and to make it as easy for you to show up at the start line one of these years. Like we mentioned, this is an update from the way the rules were. So if you in our old catalog and you see an old episode, check this one out. We're also going to put a page on our website under our resources where you can get all this information as one place. It's also going to be in the show notes. So I think with that, Chipper, let's start with, what things haven't changed.
What hasn't changed? That's a good place to start. So the total amount of team spots is 160. So there's 160 spots across men's, women's, and mixed teams for ÖTILLÖ, the Swimrun World Championship.
Yep.
The registration window, when you apply or try to register for the ÖTILLÖ, the Swimrun World Championship, is open from January 1st through January 25th.
Mm-hmm.
So all podium teams from ÖTILLÖ, the Swimrun World Championship from the previous year, so that's 9 spots. That would be places 1 through 3 for men's, women's, and mixed. All get a direct qualification if they got on the podium. So congratulations if that's how you got in. And then there is still race director's choice, which is 10 spots, and that's used at the race director's discretion through the year for sponsor, media, and special circumstances for them to assign slots to. I think probably the most famous example of this is like your Rich Rolls of the world, the Iron Cowboy last year, and things like that. So
Katie Knight,
yeah.
Show. Yep.
We probably have a few race director's choice on episodes somewhere in the library.
I actually think, didn't Phil and his partner get a director's choice slot?
Yeah. So it's not
write your best letter.
Yeah,
write your best sob story.
You got to get your recommendations and your references in order on that. But race director's choice is certainly an area, but there's 10 spots available, so go for it.
So those are the things that are the same. Obviously, if you're podium of the World Championship, congratulations, you get to come back. As far as we know, it's 160 slots. That's not team slots. So 320 people. That's not changing. And Swimrun Christmas is still the first Thursday in February, which is one of our favorite days, meme days of the year for sure. Now, there's a couple things that are really different, and I think we're going to deep dive into all this stuff. The first one is that there is no longer direct qualification for the World Championship. So if you podiumed at a World Series race, or this year some merit races, you would get a slot. That is no more. So it's only through points that you would qualify for the World Championship. And that's probably the most radical change from the way it was before. The swimmer ranking system has been completely revamped, and I think we would say, quote unquote, simplified. And it uses this new point system. The way that works is that team members, you sign up for a World Championship race, long course, short course, or you sign up for a merit race, long course. You and your team member each collect individual points, and essentially you would collect points from January through December, and the way the points are doled out is the top 30 in each category, men's, women's, mixed, at either an ÖTILLÖ Merit World Series race or a merit race team event. The winning teams would earn a maximum of 60 points for World Series, 30 points for merit events, and then it would just go down by 2 all the way down past the first 30 teams. So if you're not in the top 30, you're not getting any points. Under the previous system, if you just finished, you were getting something. You weren't getting a huge haul of points, but you would get something. Now, what's really interesting is while you race as a team, you're collecting points as individuals. Mm-hmm. And the reason they did that is actually pretty interesting.
So you might be thinking, how does this new point system work? So again, as Chris just said, the top 30 teams that finish a race in each category, men's, women's, mixed at ÖTILLÖ World Series, get ranking points. So with these points, you can apply for the ranking selection, which is, again, January 1st through January 25th. Here's how these points are distributed based on the following criteria. Again, you don't have to feverishly scribble notes down for this. We do have it on our website, lowtideboys.com. Check that out for sure. So racers get individual ranking points at ÖTILLÖ World Series team events and ÖTILLÖ merit races. This is long distance only for a calendar year, Jan 1 to December 31st. There is no points for solo category racers.
Right. You have to race as a team. Even though you're collecting points individually,
yes,
you have to race as a team.
So that's a very clear thing. We're going to re-emphasize this. If your goal is like, hey, I want to do ÖTILLÖ, the Swimrun World Championship, you need to be racing. If you want to earn points for that, you need to be racing as a team. The solo events you don't get any points for those. They're still a hell of a lot of fun.
You
just
points
don't
in
get
our
points.
Hearts. Just no points for the World Championship.
You get badass points, you get bragging rights, all sort of stuff, but no ÖTILLÖ points on that. The ranking points will be awarded to the top 30 finishers of ÖTILLÖ for each category, like we said. So if it's a ÖTILLÖ World Series race, meaning it's the long course for an ÖTILLÖ branded race, there's 60 points for the winning team and athlete. So if Chris and I did this race, Low Tide Boys were on the top step of the podium in this imaginary scenario in this fantasy land. Chris and I individually have 60 points each.
We each get 60
points.
Yes.
Now, if we do a merit race like Swimrun Lake James, for example, or Swimrun NC, if you're in the United States, 2 great races there. Be sure to check those out. If we are top step on the podium there, we're getting 30 points as being the winning team athlete. So me and Chris do what's now ÖTILLÖ Casco Bay. We top step, we get 60. Then we top step at Swimrun NC. Now we each have 90 points total for ourselves there.
Yeah. Yeah. And then so the way it works is for a World Series, and this is where the simplification is, it's pretty, I guess it is what it is. World Series races, first place gets 60, second place gets 58, third place 56, on and on and on through the first 30 teams. For merit races, first place gets 30, but then it's only a 1-point difference between the next place team. So it's 30, 29, 28, all the way down. So if you're in 30th place, you get 1 point, obviously. Now, again, I think the reason ÖTILLÖ did this, and it's on their website, it's on their they have a little Q&A, which I found really helpful as we were researching for this, was a lot of things happen. So by being able to collect points individually, you can decide, okay, I want to do the World Championship. Like Chipper doesn't want to do it this year, so I'm going to do it with, whoever else. And I know they have some points, so we just pull our points together and we submit an application under the Swimrun ranking page within the window, January 1st, January 25th, to submit our entry as a team. And then you would just fall within the same rankings in terms of how teams are selected, which is essentially, it depends how many men's teams apply, how many women's teams, how many mixed teams, and then they just sort of allocate on the percentage of applications and what sort of division of the teams it's going to be.
Yeah, so this really makes it, and it breaks up the requirement to do a lot of racing together as a team, because before that was really one way that you had to do it. You had to race a few races as a team and earn those team points to submit. This allows more freedom to swap and use different partners and do that. You obviously can still race as a team, and you're still getting all those points there.
Yeah, and what I would add to that, Chipper, is like insofar as this is an experience for you, and you really, you're not trying to win this thing, and you're just trying to like experience nature and take this thing to the ridiculous pinnacle here.
Yeah.
I would say there's something to be said about racing with the same team member as you do your build together. So we know, for example, the Water Buffaloes, like that's their goal. They're doing all their races together. And I mean, I think it's safe to say that helps make you have a really great experience at the World Championship, but also that joint experience of just racing together helps prepare you for just like the ridiculousness
of what it's going to be.
Of you're going to find. Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. So we have, again, be sure to put your applications in based on your Swimrun ranking points, which is the whole system we went over here. It is much simpler. There's no 2-year rollback, decay, time period, and all. It takes all that stuff out of it, makes it very simple. There, you put your application in January 1st through the 25th, then Swimrun Christmas, aka the first Thursday in February, so February 1st in 2024, the announcements, you'll get the email.
Yeah.
You have been accepted. Give us 15,000 krona. You're like, I'm not sure what that is in dollars, but let me go look up what the exchange rate, and you'll get it sorted out.
Yeah, it's about $800. But as Chipper mentioned, that's the window. Swimrun Christmas is great. It feels, I mean, we're not obviously putting our name into the Swimrun rank. Actually, we don't have any points because
we're pointless
the way things worked out this year. But it's still a really great day, really fun to just hear everyone kind of be stressed out about it and then understand that they're about to take this this training and racing journey.
Yeah.
Now, if you're thinking that you want to do ÖTILLÖ, we've tried to keep this episode really evergreen, but hey, we have a list from ÖTILLÖ of the confirmed events for 2024. We think there might be a few more, especially in the US, that are yet to be announced, but plenty of races all over the world and here in the United States for you to collect a good amount of points if you were trying to qualify this year.
Yes, so those would be starting on June 8th, Swimrun Ute, the birthplace of Swimrun there, then heading over to Switzerland for ÖTILLÖ Swimrun Engadin, that's in June 29th. Then with ÖTILLÖ and Odyssey combining forces, all Odyssey races are now ÖTILLÖ races, which is a huge swing in the favor of U.S. swimrunners. If you want to qualify for ÖTILLÖ, the Swimrun World Championship, this is amazing news for you. Swimrun Mackinac will be TBD on the exact time, sometime in June or July. Swimrun Gothenburg on the west coast of Sweden is on August 3rd. Then one of our favorite races, ÖTILLÖ Casco Bay, August 11th. So the date has moved back a little bit over a month.
I'm still not used to having to be ÖTILLÖ
I know,
Casco Bay.
I'm like trying to hard recode that in my head right now. ÖTILLÖ, the final 15K. So this is the last 15 kilometers-ish, more or less, of ÖTILLÖ, the Swimrun World Championship. That happens on the same weekend as ÖTILLÖ, but it's on August 31st. Then you have ÖTILLÖ, the Swimrun World Championship, the first Monday in September. This year is September 2nd. ÖTILLÖ Orcas Island, September 15th, up in upstate Washington. Swimrun Cannes, October 12th in France. A warm weather, beautiful swimrun there. And then ÖTILLÖ Pacebin Park in Austin, Texas, November 3rd. So if you're listening to this, you're like, okay, this is making a little bit more sense. Chris and I, we did qualify for this race 2 years through the point system. And this was sort of our goal. And I guess we had a little bit of a strategy, but our strategy was race a lot as a team and you will accumulate points through the year. And I think based on the new point system, seems like that will still be a pretty viable strategy.
Yeah, for sure. I think, I've spoke with Dominic from ÖTILLÖ when we were over there. And I think one of the reasons they wanted to change the system was, they wanted to give people more opportunities to change up the way they team up and race, but they also wanted to make sure that when people are showing up at the start line, like these people are prepared, they're going to successfully navigate this course, not have it be some sort of ordeal. And I think like this point system really helps with that. It's like, hey, you need to be in the top 30, which is still a pretty deep, but it's like, hey, if this is, unfortunately, if you're on the slower side of things, it could be difficult for you. You might have to be smart in terms of like race selection kind of thing, or go for a director's slot. But yeah, I think, we want that World Championship to be healthy, everyone really ready to go. And I think this helps towards that. And that's what Dominic,
absolutely
reiterated to me.
And again, if you're in the United States, you have ample opportunity to race all around. We always have been loving to race the Odyssey, now ÖTILLÖ races in the United States here. So we can't recommend those enough. And Yeah, and there's some great merit races. Those are also on our website as well. So if you're looking to plan out your Swimrun 2024 season, head on over to lowtideboys.com. We have the U.S. race calendar with all the ÖTILLÖ branded events as well as the merit races and your mom and pops.
Yeah.
And you can tell there which one you'll get points for and which ones are out of the system rankings. But I think that pretty much does it.
Yeah. Let us know if you have any questions. Hopefully.
And you get in. It's Swimrun Christmas. You get in February 2nd. You're so stoked. We have a plethora of ÖTILLÖ, the Swimrun World Championship content. So be sure to check that out. We'll have some of it linked here within the show notes. And again, on our website, we have course previews. We have now 2 race reports. We have interviews. We have race prep series. We have, I don't know, a dozen, 20 pieces of 20 episodes probably about this. So be sure to check those out if you want to know.
It's an audio testament of our neuroses and anxiety.
Yes, one series in particular for sure highlights that. But yeah, as always, we will see you out there.
Yep.
That's it for this week's episode. Thanks so much for listening to the show. Make sure to subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts and leave a rating or review, since that's the best way to help other people discover the show and the sport of swimrun.
Check out our website, lowtideboys.com. That's boys with a Z, for swimrun resources, including gear guides, tips, how-to videos, and so much more. Make sure to check out our meme page at The Low Tide Boys on Instagram. If you have any questions or suggestions for the show, send us a DM or email us at lowtideboys@gmail.com.
We'd like to thank Riding Easy Records for our show music, and of course our wives for their support and tolerance of our swimrun and other activities.
Lots of activities.
Lots of activities.
Finally, you can support our efforts on Patreon. Until next time, get out there and go for a swim.
Then a run.
And then a swim.
Then another run.
Then another swim.
Then run some more.
Just keep going.
Let's go.
And then stop at some point because,
And fuel. Don't forget to fuel.
Gotta fuel
too. Of course, yes.